June Johnston and her husband Orville started farming here about 65 years ago. They started cranberry farming and raising kids. Their oldest son Murray and his wife Wendy now run the farm. They're my bosses. They're absolutely wonderful people. I think very highly of them. So cranberries again need a very unique soil, high acidic, peat-type soil. So that's what we have here on the bog. The indigenous people found wild cranberries here. I found them on some of my canoe trips. So they do grow around here in the wild. But when the flower was blooming in the spring, the flower has a pretty little head on it that looks like the head of a crane. So the indigenous people called it a craneberry. Then when they were texting to the early settlers, it got shortened to cranberries. Did you get that? Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure you're listening. So it was craneberry and now it's cranberry. So when we go in, where's the harvester? Okay, they're taking the pipes out. The blue machine there that we just went by is called the Getzinger Retracto Toothpicker. So you got to remember that if you want to get off the wagon. We harvested in here last week, so it's the way the field looks most of the time. So we got all the berries out. I think we finished in there like last Tuesday. So cranberry is a vine. It grows about 6 inches high and about 6 feet long. And we train them to go into a pattern on the length of the bog, so that when we go into harvest, then we always harvest the same direction, so we're not ripping the plants out of the ground. So the Getzinger Toothpicker, which is that blue equipment that you see way over there, it goes into the bog. If you open up a cranberry, you'll find 4 air chambers in them. So the only time cranberries are in the water is at harvest time. They do not grow in water. It's only at harvest. Those air chambers in the cranberries float to the top, so when we harvest them, we're taking them gently off the plant and not damaging them.
Beautiful cranberry.
On your right over there, that fenced-in area, we bring in honeybees every spring to pollinate the flowers. The first year we brought them in, things are going well, then we come into work one day, and all the beehives are beaten up. Well, guess what? The bears found them. Bears like honey. So then we put them around the electric fence, and that worked well for a day until the bears learned how to disconnect the batteries. Then they got into the honey. So now we put the batteries inside the fence. The farmer gets stuck in there, but that's his problem. I had a lady from, let's say, Whitby the other day here, and she said, Bob, when you put the beehives in behind the electric fence, how do the bees get out? It was one of those moments when you think, I think I heard what I just heard. And so finally I said, well, they fly. And so we were fine for the rest of the trip. So going out here again, this bog here will be harvested later on, probably sometime tomorrow. They'll start putting water in it. Going down the middle of the bog, you see those irrigation pipes. Those irrigation pipes are only used like this summer because of the kind of summer that we had. The rest of you in Ontario, you know what it was like. We had so much rain, cold weather, it was just terrible. So we didn't have to irrigate. But now, this time of the year, when we get the threat of frost, each one of the bogs has a sensor in it that we call Jack Frost. So that sensor will go off usually about 2 o'clock in the morning, make Murray the farmer up, and tell him he has to come down here and run the irrigation. And that protects the plants from freezing, the same as you see in Niagara and other areas. There's about 150 different varieties of cranberries. So for the next hour, I'm going to name them all. Wouldn't that be fun? We grow 5, I can't name those, so you're safe. I can name 2 or 3 of them. If you buy a bag of cranberries, you might be surprised to find white berries in the bag. If you do, there's no problem with white berries. When you cook them, they turn red. If you put them in the freezer, they turn red. If you don't believe me, invite me for dinner and I'll prove it to you. But years ago, about 15 years ago, we had so many cranberries that we were discarding them. They were going into the compost. And then we started making white cranberry wine. The first batch we made was like 8,000 bottles. It sold out in 2 weeks to people from Hamilton. Our water comes for the harvest from this lake up here called Lake Orville. So we don't need a lot of water because we've had a lot of rain. But when we flood, again, the only time there's my private helicopter. I just ordered Tim Hortons. When we flood, because we don't use a lot of chemicals and pesticides, the water that we use, we flood one bog. When we're finished harvesting, we move the water to the next bog and the next bog. So because the water's still good, we don't damage it. We bottle that water, we send it to Toronto for their drinking water. Here's Murray, our farmer. So he's an absolute wonderful guy. But he's out here, I think, probably wondering whether I'm telling stories about him.
Yes.
Oh, I know, he's starting to flood. Are you flooding here? He's not hard to embarrass, really. So this fog here, we're in the middle of harvesting. So we've been through it once, and the berries are floating. We've got as much fresh fruit as we can off there, and that's with that Getzinger picker. Then we'll go through with the beater, which is the one you see on TV commercials. It beats the remaining berries off, and then it floats those berries to the top. Those berries are good for juice and jam, but not good for fresh fruit. So the first pick we do is for fresh fruit. And our goal at Johnston is to produce as much fresh fruit as possible. It looks like we're finished harvesting in here, so we got most of the berries. They'll clean it up a little bit. Last year we harvested about 500,000 pounds. This year we'll be lucky to be half of that. The winter was brutal for us, and of course you know what the summer was like, so it hasn't been good. We probably wouldn't survive if we didn't have nice people like you coming to visit us and touring with us.
Look at those things.
I sort of kind of really mean that. But it is. We do a lot of tourism and that really helps us. I think if we just worried about just cranberries, we probably couldn't exist. We have a neighboring farm that just closed last year because the market is really low and they couldn't survive. So we do a lot of tourism to survive. So anyway, once we've got as many fresh berries as we can, then we completely drain the bogs. So if you come out here in a month or in a few weeks, you'll see very little evidence of water. It'll stay like that until we get into winter. When we get into, say, late December and we're getting into freeze-up, we flood the complete farm so it looks like one gigantic lake. The reason for that is we want ice to form on top of the berries and on top of the plants. When ice forms, then the frost goes down into the roots, puts them into dormancy for the winter. When the snow comes and we get a lot of snow, we plow the snow off because snow is an insulator. We want the frost to stay down. Last year was a problem because we had a lot of really cold weather and warm weather. And I think it confused me, so I'm sure it confused the cranberry. So then 2 years ago we brought in equipment that is called the Zamboni, only we have named it the cranberry. We bring that in and we plow the ice off so that we go ice skating in the winter. I did it a couple times last year. It's really a lot of fun. If you want to do it, make sure you call because the ice conditions vary quite a bit. So it's really a good way. We have a big bonfire out and then there's always a wine tasting and those kinds of things. So then what else do we do with cranberries? When you go into the store, you'll see all sorts of cranberry products. Most of us are familiar with cranberry sauce with Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. But in there's cranberry marmalade, there's chutneys, there's jellies, there's all sorts of things. Most of them are done by a lady named June Johnston. She's 86 years old, lives in Gravenhurst, does them in her kitchen. She has some ladies come in and help her. She's an amazing lady. The other thing people like to know about is cranberry juice. Most of us like to drink it. But when you go in the